What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. We got AJ in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Albert, Amy, Andrew, Brian in the house. Good morning to Corey, Frank, Joe, John. Good morning to you. Good morning to Keith, Kevin, Lauren, Lou. We got Lydia, Marius. Good morning to you, Natalie. Good morning. We got Rick, T-Flow, Tim is in the house. Good morning to everybody piling in. We got all my people at YouTube land. Hostile. I don't know what's going on the rest of you guys with YouTube, but Hostile has been coming in strong. Probably the last like 5 days with our first comment. Not it's like clear winner. Good morning to Hostile. Good morning to M Sky. Good morning to B Gel. Good morning to all my lurkers in the background of YouTube. They're just not gonna say nothing all day. It's okay. I still love you. Hit that like and subscribe button. And we got Spy. So yesterday, really, obviously, good continuation day. Really nice location where we opened. We didn't really have too much of a pullback. The market ended strong, but it was a slow like melt up. A lot of individual names though. Right out of the gate, you had to be pretty quick to catch them. Maybe taking the pre-market breakouts, something like that. We did have a nice chance on Tesla, so we tried that one. Took a while for the break, and when it broke and is gone. Last night, I was looking at this is probably I don't know midnight last night, something like that. I was looking at kind of where things are sitting overnight. The ones that stood out the most were Tesla and anything chip related. So those sectors were absolutely on fire. Nice gaps on all of them, even AMD just at like 9 a.m. about 4 minutes ago. Put in a nice $3 candle. So things are moving strong in chips. Things are moving strong in Tesla. Things are moving strong, I think, probably like ARM, anything tech related, still absolutely on fire. But SPY itself, we'll see. We're opening right now, and 2 seconds ago, before I started blabbering, we were looking at SPY slightly under this 587.69 zone. Now you're a couple pennies above it, so somewhere right around there, and probably right at 587.87 is where I put my support resistance for today. So we're kind of opening right off of that. Otherwise, we're still inside day candle. Like I said, the rest of the market kind of hanging out flat. Probably see some continuation. I think I'd be leaning more bullish than bearish on a lot of things still. But chips and Tesla seem to be the ones that were absolutely rocking. However, SPY, the immediate target, and I'll put an asterisk next to it because there is some resistance in the way. I would say the immediate target for today, if we want to continue this just crazy bullish pop that we're having, that would take me into like this 592.70 zone. That is an area we talked about yesterday too. We talked about pretty much essentially where we got to yesterday into this 587-ish. And we ended up freezing. We got a little higher than it and kind of pulled back right into the 587. So the good news for SPY is we are back above 587.15. We're holding that. We are slightly above yesterday's VPOC. So I'm thinking we get some more continuation. But this is a nice gap up. 2 days now bullish. Maybe they make it a little tougher and we get some chop first. Who knows? But I'm looking for 592.70. And then the reason I put the asterisk there is you have a couple levels here. So probably right where we got to 588.58. There is a resistance that's going back to like January 7th. And we did hit that yesterday. So I think we could break through that today. And then the next one would be 590.01. Probably get held up there for a little bit and then make that push into the 592. So still bullish in this market. If we open underneath that resistance, I would look for probably a little chop. You do want to see 586.43 hold. Otherwise, there's not really much holding us up until back to this retest of like 581.96. So yeah, you're kind of rooting for the Bulls. If they could hold it, great. If not, there's nothing really holding us back. I think maybe yeah, 586.61. So should be easier for the Bulls to push it down if we stay under this VPOC. If we go over it, uh everything I think is still in the bull camp. I'm just typing a whole bunch of letters that don't make any sense. I don't know why. There's Q's. That's what I was trying to type. You would think typing three Q's in a row would be a lot easier, but life's got its challenges. Again, some of the tech names that I was looking at, and I'm sure there's a bunch others. Those are the ones that I was kind of focusing on. But I'm sure there's a bunch others that are still moving. And I'm sure you guys can throw those tickers into the chat when you get a chance. We'll take a look at them. But otherwise, we have not as much room to go, I don't think, until we hit the next resistance. You have about 516.53 is roughly yeah, 516.53, I'd say, is roughly the VPOC from yesterday. So we'll see where we actually open. If we can break that, you have your next target right in front of you. That's 518.78. If we go a little bit higher than that, the next target after that is going to take us to about 523.16, which would be a decent little win. Otherwise, we'll have to see if we can stay above this. If we don't, you should have a little support somewhere around 514. I would put some heavy weight onto that support. Otherwise, again, next one, which all these are okay, but that would take us back down to like 510.82. We'll just have some kind of inside day, and then maybe we need another day to break out. So watch where we're opening. Make sure there's no bull traps right out of the gate. That would get some more people in, especially on something like this one where your target is not that far away. You get a little bull trap, and then it kind of comes back. Very, very possible. So be careful of the first opening candle today. BTCUSD. I also change things up too. Usually have a nice cup of coffee that I'm like drinking the whole time. I switched to a double espresso, and I finished it all within like 3 seconds because it's so small, but the caffeine is crazy. So today's gonna be a new territory day. We got Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still just putting in a little pennant flag. We'll see which way this wants to break. For right now, we're still hanging out decent. We got 103,756. We broke it down. Bulls trying to save it now. And your resistance on this one, 104,233. So kind of a tight range that we're in. If it breaks the lower end of it, well, you're right back to this 102,923. And the Bulls showing they're trying to hold it past that. Otherwise, it starts to get a little bit deeper on that pullback. Everything else looks like just kind of hang out sideways momentum. Most likely, we continue the direction that we're already going. To me, that would be bullish. So I think you have a better shot breaking bullish than you do bearish, but you don't know until you know. So until it breaks. How long until 613 on what? SPY or Qs or what are we talking there, Tim? SPY? I don't know, about 2 hours, maybe. Probably based on how this market's moving. And give it to about noon, maybe. It's 3 hours from now. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I got that. So what I think happens, and again, we have all the momentum in the world. Who knows what macro situation arises, but we are taking we're releasing the brakes off of the tariffs. I think we get into that 594 zone, 595 zone. I think we at least come in for a little retest, and then I think if news stays positive, momentum comes in, I think we are in by the dip territory. So I would say, and we'll see if we blow right through that 595, then I don't know, this week, early next week, we hit the highs of the market. Other than that, I think you get this little pullback. I think there's a buying opportunity. I think there's a very, very good gap that's still in this market. I think it stays in this market for quite some time, and then I think we make out push. So it all depends around 595. We start closing above it very, very soon. We hit it. Otherwise, probably a couple extra weeks, but we'll see. We will see. Everything is moving very, very fast. Uh-huh. Yeah, I sold the on my Tesla position, I sold the 430. I did this 2 days ago. I sold the 430 strike for the whatever the first week of June is. I think it's like the last week of May slash first days of June, June 3rd or something like that, whatever the Friday is. And I'm like, wait a minute. After the candle that came in yesterday, I was like, if Tesla, I got like 3 weeks on that. If Tesla moves $20, they're gonna call me away at 430. That's just wild. So I was expecting a little resistance at 333 on Tesla. It hit that. My next resistance is about 360 on Tesla, so we're still $17 away from there. So maybe we get held up there and get a red day somewhere that could I could close them out. But like if it just keeps going every day, we're on a path. All right, AJ says PSTG. PSTG. Again, good gap with the rest of the market, good follow through. So it seems like we're moving with the market. It has a little bit more room today. You got about 56.51. So you got about, I think, $1.10. I do think that that is a very good resistance on it. That would be your higher price at or most traded price right around there on a good volume day. So most likely, I think you get up into that zone, you probably end up coming back, maybe even retest, and then go. But if you get any closing above that price that we just said, then I think you're looking for this gap fill, and there's a lot more room. So for today, though, I think you have about $1. It's opening at a good price. It is a retest gap, though, AJ. So I think you probably get some kind of maybe a little pullback and see if you can get the retest into 55.02. That saves you about 50 cents on entry. And then as long as that holds, getting some kind of trade around there, look for a candle around there. That would get you a slightly better risk reward on that trade, but it's got some room. Pure storage. It's storage, but it is the purest form of it. We will store stuff like nobody stored stuff before. ANET, nice gap on ANET. Was there news on this one? Versal Networks has acquired the networking unit VeloCloud from Broadcom. Oh, buying some Broadcom stuff, enhancing its capabilities in networking sector. So good gap on that one. A little bit news related. Be careful on this one. The big spot to see is 99.91, $100, I would assume, which is only 99 cents away. Could be a little psychological number, but you're opening a little bit into resistance on this. It is a retest gap. There was a candle that looked interesting over here, though. Let's see what it is. This one. This one, and then your next high volume candle is here. So I think your target's to the higher side. You might have the ability to hit like 103.19 today if we could maintain this one. Otherwise, the closer you get back to a full retest, the better. Two spots. I don't know if we do a full retest on this one. Watch 98.73. See if that one wants to hold. That should be a decent support. That one looked like a challenge to get through, and we're already through it. So see if I think your bounce spot, probably not a full on retest. Watch 98.73, and then I think you have room up to like 103.43 on this one. Let's get this one higher. I haven't traded ANET in a long time. For some reason, I remember them being a little spready, but just double check it. Double watch the spreads on it. If it opens, it looks normal, then all good. Logitech. I guess Captain Kevin's throwing out some. First of all, he's a captain, so we gotta go to UNH, but throwing out some UNH already. We got Logi. Interesting location. You have your first resistance, 89.17. So we'll see if we can break through that. If we can, you got $90.11. And then I think target for today, probably about $90.83 if we want to continue decently bullish. Again, this is a retest gap. I would expect a high wave on this one. Because you're going to have 88.71 is support. So I think you get somewhere in this range a high wave candle. I think you have decent room to the higher side. I think you got decent room to the lower side. So I think bulls bears want to fight it out. I'm not sure which way we break on this one, but it is a retest gap. So if we break down, I think you got room to like 87.22 for the full retest. I'd be out at that point. Everything about this sentiment wise is bullish. So if you get down to 87.28, I'd be a bull waiting to buy it down there. But I think you might be able to get a tight enough setup where you could actually short this one. And then I would also be prepared to go long if they get the high wave candle and you break bullish on it. So I'd go either way. I think I'd prefer just knowing that it is a retest gap to short this one into the resistance. But yeah, if it starts breaking 88.71, that would be my sign to go short. I think if it starts getting above 89.11, that's my sign to go long on Logitech. We'll get this one up there too. I think it has some interesting room in it. It's not a crazy amount of room, Either direction. So I'll probably be looking for a 1.2 on it. Wouldn't I don't think I'd go for more on it, but it does give you, I think, an interesting setup. In this range, between those two numbers, I would probably just leave it alone. Wait for the break either way. Let's go to UNH first. So this one obviously it was down, I think 17%. I think it closed like 16.5% yesterday. It is getting to a very, very interesting location. I am not ready to buy it yet. However, if you're in a long term, like if you're buying it for the long term, I don't think you go wrong. I don't think also that this is probably the low of UNH. However, I would not be upset with the valuations coming in here. I think it's pretty good valuation. I do want to wait for me. I think by the time June rolls around, I'll wait for June, so I'll give it a couple more days, couple more time. Otherwise, I'm going to be as patient as possible. I like it somewhere around 246, 247. If we get into that range, that's where I would look to buy it. It is gap and go today, but if you're looking at the weekly chart, you have 335.18 should be some resistance. So again, if you're day trading it, you have about $10 to the high side. I think you're starting to get it. It depends on how you want to evaluate this thing, but I was looking at the balance sheets yesterday, the free cash flow. The free cash flow has been astonishingly good over the last 10 years. It did dip a little bit in 2024, so there's some warning signs, but historically, it's found its path. It's been able to deliver to investors really, really good cash flow. This is a name that I probably wouldn't mind having in the long-term portfolio. It does pay a divvy. I don't know what the divvy is for today, but as of yesterday, I think it was like 2.2%, 2.3% prior to yesterday. So you get a little bit of a divvy. I think if you're not going all in, I think if you go all in, if you make that move and you're like, hey, I just want to get into UNH, I think in a long term perspective, over the course of the next 10 years, your position will be fairly decent. I think you'll be higher than here. So I think we do have a little panic sell again off of I think the CEO just kind of the new guy just kind of quit, and then there's no guidance. So they do have some rough waves ahead of them. I don't think it gets easier, and then you have the Trump prescription thing. We have to see how that plays out, and RFK going after some of the healthcare names. I think they have a battle still approaching, so I don't think this is the low of UNH. I think it goes lower, but if you're dollar cost averaging in and this is a starter position, you almost in a long term case you don't want to be buying at the lowest point. You would expect and you would want to see some red in your portfolio because you're just going to dollar cost average down lower. So it's 2.7% on UNH. They're a very strong company. They still have a lot of free cash flow. They don't have that much debt. I think they have I forget the number, but I think it was like 75 million in debt, something like that. But free cash flow wise, they're making last year on a down year they made 20 million. What was it 20? No, 20 billion in cash. I think they have about 75 billion in debt, something like that. But they could pay off their debt fairly easy, is the point. Um, so I think it's a healthy place, but they do have some things to figure out. So for me, yeah, I would like somewhere around 250 or under. I know Jeremy was looking at maybe selling some puts at 230. So I kind of like that play too. So you could get paid in the interim on this one. But yeah, I don't the way that candle closed, the way the candle opened, I don't really love it for a day trade quite yet. The week looks kind of ugly. Not for a day trade, but for a long-term investment. It looks like we have lower to go. Inside day candle, again, we know 335, somewhere in that zone should be some resistance. I think this one probably still continues to fade. Watch what happens at 318.34 for today if you want to try to day trade it. But try not to pick the bottom on a day trade on this one because it still looks. I think it needs some more time on it. Tim says I started a pyramid yesterday. Yeah, I like the pyramid on it. I think that's a good idea too. SMCI is a retest gap from yesterday. Massive jump on this one again. Chips looked fairly good, at least last night. Really good. I mean, again, this gap. I don't even think anybody mentioned SMCI yesterday. It's been flat for a long time now. So it's built a lot of consolidation in here. Yesterday was a gap and go candle, but I would have put targets at like 35.84, 36.30, 37.40. This one has gone above and beyond all of that just yesterday. So really good breakout candle. Didn't really give us much sign that that was on the horizon, as it hasn't really broken out of that range yet. And now you just get a massive, overwhelmingly gap. Be careful on this one. This is a retest gap as well. I love the fact that you're above that 200 EMA. I love the fact that you're also above 41.88. That's a longer term volume zone, so not bad there. I think dips start to get bought on SMCI. I don't think I'd be buying it on this breakout. You are opening right into resistance. So I think if it pulls back a little first, fine. I do have some shares. So I'm already in if it wants to continue to go higher. Um, for me to say it's going higher, let's see if we can get past about 47.28. Then I think you have a lot of room on this one up to like 53.83 would be the next target. But I would assume somebody wants to take some cash on this one. See if they can kind of re-enter closer to about 42.70 at this point. Would be a very interesting location. So a little too high on this gap up. If you're holding, really, really good gap. I mean, it's about a $7 move on SMCI. Not too bad. Looking good. Looks a little bit inverted. I mean, it's sloppy, but it's a little inverted head and shoulders. More of a double bottom, I guess, on that last kind of shoulder. But yeah, chart looks an absolute mess. Big zone on this one. Get above 49.25. Look at the volume we've already taken out. I'm sure that the Bulls or the Bears would like to defend this 48.27 zone. Anything above that, I think your next move is, yeah, it's 55.31. So it's got some room. Be careful today. It is a retest gap. Maybe don't be the first one to buy, but I think dips do get bought on SMCI at this location. AMD is just squeezed. Yeah, what is going on with AMD now? That just went up another whole bunch of dollars. Right into the 200. That's a $9 move on AMD. Outstanding. Got above all that volume. Watch this zone on a daily. We start breaking 25.11. You have your next move into like 138.70. Yikes. That's crazy. It's got in a longer term basis, that's a lot of move, but we're finally breaking through pivots. We're finally getting out there. I mean, there was a ton of shorts in this thing, just keeping it down. Watch that 200 for today. This is also a retest gap. So again, for day trade wise, be careful. This is a great gap though. My guess is they probably give back some profits at this 200. Anything higher than this one, the big zone 123.74. Outstanding gap though. Watch AMD. AMD is crazy. Oh, they're doing a $6 billion buyback. I like when they buy back. I love when they buy back, even more so than the divvies. And I especially like it when they're buying it back down here somewhere, as opposed to a lot of companies that just go, yeah, we're buying back, and then they're buying back at like 220. Like, be smart, company. I like that one. Thank you, Lisa Sue. Appreciate it. That's awesome. That's a good one. Disney, EIS. I think it was SMCI, AMD. I'm trying to see if I missed any others. Yep. Okay. We got Disney is for the moment. Again, we're still into this. I think there's gonna be better stocks. Everything else looks bullish still on this one. But we want to really see us. I think you're targeting maybe today, maybe not. I don't know. I think a $3 move on Disney for today after the move we've already had is pretty difficult, especially with all those resistance on the way up. So I will go really extended target 114.42. I think we end up getting there. Otherwise, next resistance 112.01. We hit that yesterday, so potentially we break through. You got 112.46, I think, is your next kind of big target, and then 113.31. That's if we start getting back above this 111.32 zone. Otherwise, I think buy the dippers probably in Disney at the moment. The gaps look phenomenal. If you're in this thing short, you're absolutely crying. You're going through a lot of Kleenex. Otherwise, you're looking at 110.41 if this thing comes down to the short side. So if you want to short it into that, I'd stay away from the shorts. I'd be just buying dips. 110.49 would be your spot, unless this thing could break out of yesterday's VPOC 111.32. Google, GOOG, we got the one without the L, so we'll see. Um, it's okay. I don't think Google dies. I know a lot of people like even as soon as the Apple announced their search. I don't know. I mean, realistically, on a longer term time frame, this 148 zone, 149 zone has been a very good support. We have just made in a longer term basis new higher highs. But the catalyst right now is that Apple is coming out with search. Everybody's a little concerned with Google that their core business is under attack because AI and Google's just falling behind. So here's breaking news. I think Google catches up. I don't think Google's going to let competition just sweep in. But you have the headlines, you have the story, you have the fear, you have the panic, and that's going to cause a candle like this. We're just inside this candle still, so for like realistically, we're not back on the right track until we get past 167. We get closing above that, we're definitely off to the races, and you probably get a squeeze. Otherwise, really not a bad buy spot. I think you have good risk reward. I think anything that starts closing under 152.14, you probably throw your stops there and maybe try again if it comes a little bit lower into like 149.20, or just expand out those stops a little bit. But for right now, I think I would expect continued chop on Google for now. Uh, Bulls, if you're bullish on Google, you're probably trying to set some positions up, but bears, you still have the headlines on your side. Some back and forth. For today, not a bad open. We got past 161.12. I think next target is 162. We did hit that yesterday. On the bullish side, if we want to continue up, probably looking for big resistance around 163.13. You start to get into that 100, into that 50 EMA at that point. Extended targets maybe getting to like 163.82. So I think you have some room to the higher side for now. I think there's probably still some consolidation, some just chopping around, and I think Google might not be an easy trade. Lauren says, I doubt Google going to zero, so I've been picking up a few shares. I like it. Yeah. Yeah, a buddy of mine is like, yeah, I got some puts on Google. I'm like, probably that would have been a good thought around 200, but now you're down $40. You're hoping for a big, massive exodus on this one. And I just don't see Google going to zero either. But other than that, that is the morning bell. So everybody, YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe buttons if you've not done so already. Otherwise,